Hello everyone, welcome back. In this video we're going to discuss about working with serialization and deserialization in Java. We will be learning everything you need to know about working with serialization and deserialization in Java. It's one of the most frequently asked interview questions, and it's important to know how to work with serializing and deserializing the state of an object in Java. So what basically serialization is, it is the process of converting an object into byte stream or converting the state of objects into a JSON file or a different format, which can then be saved into a file sent over the network or stored in a database. This byte of a stream or a JSON file which contains the state of the object can later be deserialized to recreate the original object. To work with serialization and deserialization using the Java built-in methods or classes, we need to know about 4 important classes. Those are easy to remember. So for serialization, we first need to create a file that stores byte information. We can do that using the file output stream, which comes from java.io. Using this object of this class, we can create a file to write bytes or series of bytes to that file. In order to write to this file and serialize an object, we can use the file output or object output stream. Using the object of this class, we can serialize a POJO and change it to a series of bytes and store or write those bytes to this file. For the deserialization, there are 2 other important classes that we need to know. For deserialization, we need file input stream. It's going to open a file that contains a series of bytes or byte information. Then in order to read from this file, we will need object input stream, I think. Object, this is object output stream, is going to be this time object input stream is going to take the input or a stream of bytes from this file, and using the object of this class we can deserialize the state of the objects that are stored in the file. So let's I'm gonna comment out these lines of codes. So for that, let's create an object or a POJO. Let's call it a student. For a moment, let's have private int ID and private string name. Then we have to generate constructor, getters and setters for this object. Let's alt insert. Let's generate constructor for both of the fields. Then I'm gonna generate getters and setters for everything. Then also override the toString method. toString method, let's override that. So let's first create an object of student. What I'm gonna do, I'll say student. So let's make the font size a little bit bigger so that you guys can see that. Oh, where was that? Under editor font, it's 14. Let's make it 18. So looks better. Let's create a student. Let's call it Alex equal to new student. Let's give a Alex ID of 101 and let's give it a name Alex. So we are going to serialize this object with the states having ID as 101 and name as Alex and store it permanently into a file. First, we are going to create a file. Let's give a file path or a file name. I'm gonna give a string file path. I'm gonna use relative path. Let's call it alex.ser. We can give an extension, but I'm gonna give it ser or serialization. You can give txt or json or .data or .dat, whatever you want. So to create a file with this file path, we are going to use file output stream to output a stream of bytes to that file. File output stream, let's call it file output stream equal to new file output stream, and I'm gonna pass my file path. This will throw an exception. I'm gonna add this to my method signature. Add exception to the method signature. It throws a file not found exception if the file doesn't exist. Then using this file, we can write we can use the object output stream to write to this file. Let's create an object of this class, object output stream. Let's call it object output stream equal to new object output stream, and we pass this file output stream to write to this file. This is also going to, I think, throws an IO exception. Let's add it to method signature also. Yeah, it throws IO exception. So now we can use this object output stream to serialize this student object to a series of bytes and write it to this file. So what I'm gonna do is I will use object output stream dot we have write, we can write int values, we can write object which takes an type objects, student is or Alex is of a type object. We might use this method, then we can use to write byte array or byte. Let's write object. We are going to write Alex, serialize Alex and write it to the file. Then once we are done, we are going to close our object output stream dot close. Let's run our project. We got an exception, no serializable. Okay, in order to serialize a class, we need to implement the serializable interface. Right now it's a simple Pojo which doesn't have the functionality to be serialized. In order to make it serializable, we have to implement the serializable interface. This is a marker interface. It doesn't have anything, just giving the class a meaning or mark the class to be serializable. So let's run our project. Right now student is serializable, and when we pass the object of a student here, this writeObject is going to serialize it and write the serialized version of this object to this file. Let's run it. Hopefully, yep, we have an alex.ser. It's a series of bytes. It's not human readable, but we can use this file to transfer it over the network or deserialize it back to a different computer. In order to deserialize this student object from this file, what we are going to do, we will be using these two classes. First, let's open this file or have a connection to this file using the file input stream. We are going to input these streams of byte to object of file input stream. Let me go back to main. For deserialization, what we are going to do, first we will say file input stream equal to new file input stream, and we will pass our file path. Then using the object input stream, we can read or input the stream of bytes from this file. Object input stream equal to new object input stream, and we pass our file input stream, this file. Then let's see what methods this object input stream has. Dot we can read an object that returns an object, returns the read, returns an int, close to a string. Let's read an object, read object. What it says, it throws an exception. Let's add it to it returns class not found exception, but we have the class, but in case we don't have the student class to deserialize to, it's going to throw an class not found exception. So it's going to return an object. We're going to store it in a student reference. Let's say student Alex or deserialized Alex equal to this student. Okay, and let's print the deserialized Alex. We should be able to have the same state of objects. Now let's go to a different machine, or let's create a new project. Let's say if we can deserialize the same object using this file in a different machine or a different project. Let me go create a new project. Let's call it whatever it is. It's a Maven project. New window. In this new project, what we are going to do, we will need to copy that file that contains byte information about Alex. Let's copy this one. Copy. I'm gonna go to the new project and paste it here. I'm gonna name it as Alex. We have this byte, a series of byte information, but we cannot read it. What is it? Then also we will need the student class to map whatever we deserialize to. So let's paste the student object here also. Student, we have ID and name. Let's go and copy this deserialization code. Copy that and paste it in a different machine or different project. So let's have the file path a string file path equal to alex.ser. This is going to throw exception. What I'm gonna do is I will add it to the method signature, and also this is going to throw an exception, and I'm gonna surround it, add it to the method signature class not found. And finally we print or the deserialized Alex. Hopefully we get the same information. Yeah, we could successfully deserialize the state of Alex object from this file in a different machine. Now let's learn how to exclude some information from being serialized. Say we have some sensitive information within this student object and we don't want to serialize that. What I'm going to do, I will create another field for this. Let's have a string field. Let's call it SSN. Have the getters and setter for this. I'm gonna have first the constructor, then we'll have we don't need this one. Then let's have the getter and setter. Alt insert getters and setters for this newly added field. Also I'm gonna add it to string. Let's re-override it. Replace, yeah, existing. So we got the SSN here also. Let's go to main. We are going to add an SSN number for Alex. Let's say we have some number for SSN. Run the project. We have the SSN here. We serialize the SSN and deserialize it back, but we don't want to serialize this sensitive information and send it over the network. What we can do is we can use a transient keyword in Java, private. To exclude this field, we can say transient string SSN. Right now, during the serialization, this field will be excluded. Let's rerun the project and see. Yeah, we could successfully serialize and deserialize the name and ID, but SSN is now, because it was excluded from being serialized. So this way we can work with serialization and deserialization using the built-in Java classes or built-in methods. We could use the file output stream to create a file for outputting bytes of streams of byte, but to generate streams of byte and serialize an object, change it to streams of bytes, we can use the object output stream class, which has as a method writeObject, takes an object and change it to a stream of bytes, and it's going to write it to this file, because we have created this file using the file output stream and we bound this file to this object because we passed it to the constructor. To deserialize it, we again going to use two Java built-in classes. We got to remember these. File input stream, to create an input stream to read from a file that contains byte information. To read from that file, we use object input stream. We pass the file we have created, and using the read object we can read and deserialize bytes from the file. So this way, another way we can work with serialization and deserialization is using third-party libraries such as Jackson. This method is not human readable because this file contains byte information and we cannot read that. But if we want to serialize our object into a JSON format which is human readable, then we will go with libraries such as Jackson library. So in this video we'll work with Jackson library to make a human readable serialization. So let's do that. If you're working with Spring Boot application, you don't have to include the Jackson library, but with a simple Java application, I have created a simple Maven application, we have to manually include the Jackson library dependency in our pom.xml. What I'm going to do, I will go to Google and search for Jackson Maven dependency. Jackson Maven dependency. Jackson cur. I think we need Jackson data bind. Jackson data bind. Let's search for that one. Yeah. So we need to include this Jackson data bind dependency in our pom.xml. Copy that, go to our project, pom.xml. So we don't have a dependency stack here. Let's create a dependency stack. And inside this dependency stack, we're gonna paste our Jackson data bind dependency. Let's reload the Maven project to download these dependencies. It already downloaded the Jackson dependencies. So let's go and work with serializing and deserializing our object into a JSON format. This Jackson library has a useful class called object mapper, which provides useful methods to work with serialization and deserialization. What I'm gonna do is let's comment out these lines of codes. We will create a object mapper. Let's object mapper. This comes from Jackson data bind library. Object mapper equal to new object mapper. So to write or serialize the state of the object, let's uncomment our student here. The object, we have Alex. So let's serialize it. What type of methods this object mapper provides? We have object mapper dot write values, as we can pass a writer object, a file, and the object value, or we can call the write value as a string, which takes an object and serialize it to a string. Let's for the moment use this write value as a string method, and we'll pass our method or our object Alex. It's going to serialize this Alex and return it as a string in the format of JSON. Let's introduce a string variable Alex JSON string. Let's run the project. So let's print it here. We don't have any error. Alex Jackson string. It has serialized our object in form of JSON. We have key value pairs, we have ID. This is a JSON object. Inside this curly braces we have ID 101, name Alex, and SSN. So we can also write this JSON to a file and transfer it over the network, or we can transfer this string over the network. Let's see how we can write this string to a file. What we have object mapper dot write, maybe write value is going to take a writer, an object. Let's create a writer for this, a file. We can say file file equal to new file. Let's call it alex.json. Let's pass our file, then the object we want to serialize. We want to serialize Alex. Let's run the project. Let's see what's gonna happen. Alex JSON. Yeah, we have a JSON file which is human readable, Alex with ID and the same SSN. If we don't want to include the SSN in this using the Jackson library, we don't have to use the transit keyword anymore. There is an annotation that Jackson library provides. It's called Jackson ignore, I think. JSON ignore. JSON ignore. Yeah, JSON ignore. If we don't want to include a file, include information or a field in our serialization, we can use JSON ignore annotation. Let's run the project. Yeah, name is serialized and ID is serialized. So this way we can serialize an object using the Jackson library, and if we want to deserialize it back, we can use object mapper dot read values is gonna take a file. We have a file here, file, and the type of the class or object we want to map the values to. So we have student.class. We want to map the information from this file to a student.class. Obviously it's not going to deserialize the SSN because it's not here. Let's see what's gonna happen. This will return a student object, I think. Introduce a variable, yeah, a student, and let's print the student that we just deserialized, or we can call it Alex. So we got an exception, invalid definition exception, cannot construct instance of student, no creator like default constructor. Let's see, we don't have a default constructor here, I think. Let's add a default constructor here also. Alt-insert constructor, and we don't want to select anything. Let's rerun the project. Yeah, we could successfully deserialize the information or object from this JSON file. Since we don't have SSN is null, we could successfully deserialize the student information from a JSON file. Here we serialized that. We excluded the SSN from serialization, and when we deserialize it, object mapper the read the value from this file, which is alex.json, and we map whatever we read to this student.class object. So this way we can work with serialization and deserialization. I personally prefer using Jackson library in production environment because it gives us a human readable format. We can read it and see what's happening. Also, if we use this method, it will give us a byte file or a series of byte which is not human readable, and in order to deserialize it, we need to have a Java machine and Java programming language. Then only we can deserialize this object. But in case of Alex, in case of JSON, alex.json, this is a JSON file. We can transfer it anywhere and we can use it in any programming language. It's not only dependent in Java application or Java programming language. So better use Jackson library. Again, it depends on your requirement, whichever method you want to use. So That's all about serialization and deserialization in Java. Thank you guys for watching, and see you in the next video. Bye bye.